90-Day Fiancé, Sarper asked Shekina to give up on her business before their separation. 90-Day Fiancé's Shekina finally revealed what caused her marriage to crumble, and it's because Sarper told her to shut down her business. She has been spilling the hot tea about the ongoing issues between them. She revealed that her husband warned her not to attend his comedy shows anymore. Hearing him being rude to her, she flew back from Miami. Sarper, on the other hand, defended himself and changed the situation completely. According to him, he has to change his personality for his wife, so he almost claimed he is the victim of her torture. He further called her the source of all problems. Later, fans got to know from an insider that they actually unfollowed each other on Instagram. Why did he want her to stop doing business? How did she respond to him? 90-Day Fiancé, fans suspect Sarper and Shekina to be preparing for the last resort with their breakup. After witnessing Shekina and Sarper fighting ugly online, some fans started a rumor that they might be preparing the ground for another 90-Day Fiancé spin-off. It's the one and only The Last Resort, which might feature them. In the spin-off, couples come to take therapy sessions to resolve their marital issues. However, many couples end up separating. It's just a handful who continue to stick together. If Shekina and Sarper make their appearance on The Last Resort, the widespread speculation would come true. Their relationship has reached the volatile stage. They are the best candidates for TLC to get them on board to talk about their relationship fixing process and how willing they are to save their marriage. Despite some fans wanting them back on camera, others have reservations. 90-Day Fiancé, Shekina claims Sarper pressed her to quit her business. Recently, Shekina from 90-Day Fiancé took to her Instagram to upload a few fresh news story posts. In one of them, she showed off her business space to let fans know that it's her happy place. But someone wanted her to hold on to her business to support their dream. She said she is grateful for never letting them destroy her if she had abandoned her studio for them. Shekina's one mistake would have cost her priorities, which are cosmetic procedures. She is a professional esthetician and makeup artist who also does freelance projects like event hosting and masterclasses in dermaplaning. Her studio is the only thing that helped her come out of financial crisis during her dating phase with Sarper. Shekina revealed that she lost a lot of clients due to temporary closures or something. But she has now got back to work to rebuild her reputable business. The Los Angeles resident had to go through some financial turmoil in last couple of months, but she promised herself to bounce back just in time with hard work. Shekina didn't disclose the name of the person who strongly encouraged her to move on from her successful business. But fans know it ought to be Sarper and no one else, since they are currently in a messy relationship. They won't stop butting heads, that's clear. It's that she would allow her dog to hurt her and not anyone else. For the latest 90-Day Fiancé tea. 90-Day Fiancé Sarper and Shekina shock fans over bizarre antics. 90-Day Fiancé stars Sarper Güven and Shekina Garner surprised many viewers in the first part of TOW Tell-All. Sarper's ex-girlfriend made an unexpected appearance and even brought out receipts from their past, which made things complicated between Sarper and Shekina. But aside from the drama, many Redditors were caught off guard when the couple showed their bizarre habit. Keep reading to see what it was. 90-Day Fiancé, Sarper Güven cornered by his ex-girlfriend. The first part of TOW Tell-All featured the special appearance of Sarper's ex-girlfriend, Didi. Her guesting also made Shekina aggressive. The 90-Day Fiancé star insisted Sarper never had female friends when they started dating. However, Didi said that she and Sarper had a deeper connection. Things got worse when Didi shared her past conversations with Sarper, adding that their last interaction was in November 2023. Sarper tried to defuse the situation by saying that Didi was only his past flame, making Shekina think that she was one of his one-night girls. Sarper and Shekina shock fans over bizarre habit. Some Redditors react to a scene from 90-Day Fiancé, The Other Way Tell-All Part 1 featuring Sarper Güven and Shekina Garner sharing a stick of butter. Even the cast members were stunned by what they were doing, which seemed normal for them. Several commenters even thought it was a chunk of cheese or ice cream, and they couldn't comprehend that it was butter. Others even speculate that it may be one of their antics to get more attention. Oh sure, it all starts off innocently munching on a stick of butter on TV and then bam. The next thing you know, you're shooting up ghee in an alley behind an Indian restaurant. I mean, if you're going to do this, why wouldn't you do it before you came to tape? So weird. A butter ritual. LOL or obsession. But or face LOL. 90-day fiancé, Sarper Güven and Shekina Garner celebrate birthday. Shekina recently took to Instagram to share a clip with Sarper as they celebrate their birthdays. The 90-day fiancé star shares the same birthdays, with years being the only difference. According to Shekina, sharing her birthday with the love of her life is something special. It also appears the two celebrated their special day in an outdoor restaurant. I can't help but think 90-day fiancés Shekina and Sarper are turning into Jasmine and Gino. 90-day fiancés Shekina Garner and Sarper Güven have officially taken their story to America, and I'm noticing some similarities to another tumultuous couple. Sarper and Shekina originally appeared on the 90-day fiancé, the Other Way spin-off, when Shekina flew to Turkey to move in with Sarper. The pair met when she was on a trip to Istanbul, and they continued a long-distance relationship until their first segment in the 90-day fiancé franchise. From the beginning, their relationship seemed to be on thin ice, and the turmoil between the two grew. They both had extremely jealous personalities and didn't want their partner working with the opposite sex. Sarper also had a risque past that was hard for Shekina to look beyond, especially with literal knickknacks of his conquests in his apartment. I didn't think their relationship would continue, but they've decided to swap roles. Life in Turkey proved to be too difficult for them to maintain, so Shekina applied for a K-1 visa, and Sarper was accepted. In their current appearance, Sarper is in America, and they're preparing to get married within the allotted 90 days. However, Sarper has only been in America for a few days, and during that time, a different couple emerged. As their storyline continues, I can't help but notice major similarities to another tumultuous 90-day fiancé franchise couple, Gino Palazzolo and Jasmine Pineda. 90-day fiancé's Sarper has changed. Initially, Sarper seemed to be more of a traditional alpha man. In fact, that is the term he used to describe himself. He also enjoyed embracing his sexual past, which consisted of over 2,000 women, and he stood up for himself if he thought Shekina took a situation too far. However, I've noticed a huge shift in Sarper. He seems much more docile this year, and he hasn't pushed back, which is more of a Gino embodiment. Since being in America, nothing has turned out as Sarper expected. Shekina wasn't honest with. Essentially lied, which, in the past, Sarper would have been confrontational about. While needing privacy for Shekina's line of work is certainly understandable, Sarper is essentially neglected and put off to the side. Overall, I can't help but notice the similarities to Gino and Jasmine. With Sarper being more docile, he acts like Gino would in certain situations. It seems like Shekina has put most of her needs above her fiancé's, which is like how Jasmine would throw fits if things didn't work in her favor. 90-day fiancé Shekina has double standards. Sarper and Shekina have always had an interesting dynamic and already shared similarities with Gino and Jasmine. Both couples have jealous personalities. Jasmine and Shekina had plastic surgery and body enhancements done, have struggled with insecurities, and can be strong-willed. However, I'm noticing even more double standards arising now with the role reversal between Sarper and Shekina. When Shekina moved to Turkey, she was adamant about having certain comfort items, like a vanity. She made endless demands of Sarper, like him going to therapy or getting rid of his collection of sexual escapades. If he didn't live up to her expectations, she wasn't a pleasant person to be around. Shekina didn't want him training other women, cutting his clientele in half, and she didn't allow him to be friends with women, especially exes. Shekina expected Sarper to make her life in Turkey as comfortable as possible. However, her apartment is also her workspace, and she kicks him out when clients are over. Shekina still has friends of the opposite sex and even allowed her ex to interrogate her fiancé. If this double standard isn't the epitome of Jasmine and Gino's relationship, I don't know what is. Jasmine can be jealous, but she hangs out with men at the gym and even pushed for an open marriage. Sarper and Shekina's relationship is starting to escalate, and I'm not convinced the duo will get married this season. With Jasmine and Gino's relationship potentially over, I wonder if Shekina and Sarper will take their place and the show's tumultuous pairing. While Sarper has developed a more docile attitude, I suspect he won't stay in America. At some point, Gino stopped allowing certain behaviors, so it's possible for Sarper to find his voice again. Unfortunately, I think when he does, the couple will follow the same broken path as Gino and Jasmine. Can't believe Shekina's friend's behavior on 90 Day Fiancé. Sarper deserves better. 90 Day Fiancé couple Sarper Güven and Shekina Garner are experiencing a major role reversal, and I think the Turkish native might be tolerating behavior he doesn't deserve. For the last few years, the couple have appeared on 90 Day Fiancé the other way, and Shekina Garner has been the one to travel back and forth to meet the love of her life. From the moment the 90 Day Fiancé franchise couple first met, they haven't had the easiest time on screen. The Turkish native was a ladies' man, and his sexual history and connections with other women often came back to haunt them. He also liked to keep mementos from his escapades and did very little to make the born and raised American comfortable in his home. In the past, Güven came across as one of the most arrogant and selfish men in the franchise. He genuinely seemed to care only about his own happiness while making Garner obey his rules. They often argued, which would occasionally result in one or the other walking away. Their last argument escalated to a physical point, and I also didn't think the couple would reappear on the franchise. However, they both seem to have found comfort in one another and their equally jealous personalities. Unfortunately, though, the dynamic in Turkey wasn't beneficial for them, so now they've decided to uproot to America. Now Güven's in the hot seat, living in Garner's space, following her rules, and meeting her friends, and the transition hasn't been going well. 90 Day Fiancé's Shekina's friends made extreme judgments. There's no denying that Sarper has had one of the most sordid reputations and history in the franchise. Once other fans and I discovered his body count of over 2,000 women and the literal black book he used tally marks to count his conquests, it's been tough to look at Güven the same. I have noticed some changes though. Güven seems to be a little more open-minded and willing to compromise with Garner, including agreeing to go to therapy. He seems to be a little less controlling, and he's also compromised by moving to America despite being vocally against moving in their past appearances, so to see Shekina Garner's friends verbally attack her fiancé was a little alarming to me. Additionally, I think their judgments were extreme. Dan, Garner's friend, attacked Güven's past and how he could hurt her. He also questioned if Güven really cared for Garner. In truth, I know Güven hasn't had the best reputation, but I think that Garner's friends were a little harsh. The couple had been together for many years, so to question if he truly cared seemed pointless. I also think they jumped to conclusions far too quickly. While I understand their concern and desire to protect their friend, I think they overstepped, and the manner in which they spoke to Güven was a little over the top. 90 Day Fiancé's Shekina Garner's friend's history isn't innocent. I personally think the line of questioning was unnecessary, especially for an initial introduction to the group. However, I also think the relationship between Shekina and Dan is a little off. The first and most important issue I have is the past between the two. Dan and Garner dated in the past. According to both of them, they didn't have a serious relationship and their connection didn't go far. However, there were a few dates and kisses involved. Additionally, Dan and Garner have admitted that he still had feelings for her, and I'm left in confusion. Garner would never tolerate this type of questioning from someone who was interested in Sarper Güven. In fact, she ended a conversation quickly with another one in the previous tell-all because she didn't want to hear about her opinions regarding Güven. Putting aside the obvious double standard, I can't help but wonder what else is going on beneath the surface here. The line of questioning, combined with Dan's lingering feelings, makes me think he's trying to sabotage the relationship. Honestly, Dan comes across more as a jealous ex-boyfriend than he does a caring friend. I think that a genuinely caring friend would have tackled that situation from a different angle. Then for Dan to be dismissive at the end and tell Sarper he didn't believe a word exchanged that evening seemed unnecessarily rude. If anything, the encounter proved just how much Sarper has changed over the years, since he didn't act as rude back or get really upset about Garner remaining friends with someone who was trying to interfere with their relationship. Overall, while Dan was the main culprit, most of Shekinah's other friends agreed with his comments, and I think there was certainly a better way to handle these issues and concerns. I understand that Garner's friends were looking out for her, but I think if they truly cared they could have gone about it a different way. This was their first official time meeting Sarper, and I would have thought everyone, including her friends, would have wanted to make a positive impression. I also would have thought they'd give him a warm welcome to America. Instead, I found their behavior embarrassing and actually had me rooting for Güven. I also think that by interrogating Güven the way they did, it could lead to issues for Güven and Garner down the road. In the end, though, I'm starting to see the drastic changes in Güven's attitude, and I think he might deserve better. 90-Day Fiancé, Sarper Güven admits he's a C***CK? 90-Day Fiancé star Sarper Güven is getting a lot of attention following the latest episode of The Other Way. The 44-year-old man from Turkey had one of the most interesting backgrounds among the cast members. He claimed that he had slept with over 2,500 women. His past has also become a problem for his partner, Shekinah Garner. But the two are trying their best to keep their relationship strong. Sarper even made Shekinah break character after an unexpected confession. Keep reading to see the shocking clip. 90-Day Fiancé, how are Sarper Güven and Shekinah Garner today? Shekinah has been having issues with Sarper's past during the latest season of 90-Day Fiancé, The Other Way. It even came to a point where she confronted him after meeting with his ex. However, the two have been going strong behind cameras. They're currently living in Istanbul. The couple likes to share photos from their dinner dates and travels. In June, Shekinah shared a photo with her man with the caption, "I had never met a soul who could speak my language until there was you. You are fluent in me." Sarper admits he's a C***CK? In an Instagram post, TLC shared a clip from the latest episode of TOE showing a hilarious clip between Sarper and Shekinah. The 90-Day Fiancé stars were having a serious conversation when Sarper suddenly began to showcase his poetry. According to Sarper, he was once a C***CK, catching Shekinah off guard. Shekinah Garner was surprised and immediately laughed at her man, who later said that he had eventually become a peacock, trying to impress her. The two ended up breaking character and bursting out of laughter. The clip also received positive comments from fans who couldn't get over Sarper Güven's statements. "I'd see what anyone says, Sarper is absolutely hilarious." Okay, Sarper. You changed my mind. I love you two together, so cute and adorable. He's unintentionally hilarious and I love it. Don't care what nobody says, I love him. LOL, the language barrier is too funny. 90-Day Fiancé, Shekinah Garner breaks silence about Sarper Güven's financial status. Shekinah recently gave an interview in which she opened up about the speculation that she's usually the one who spends on her man. According to the 90-Day Fiancé star, she spends nothing when she's with her man in Turkey, adding that she was able to save so much because of him. 90-Day Fiancé Season 11, did Shekinah Garner move into a bigger house? Sarper compared the Los Angeles home to a prison. 90-Day Fiancé star Sarper Güven's life turned upside down when he came to the US and realized he was to live in a small house with some atrocious house rules with Shekinah Garner. Sarper, from Turkey, was working as a personal trainer in his country when Shekinah met him via a dating app during her vacation. Sarper and Shekinah started dating with the Turkish man deciding to get rid of his bad boy image. Sarper had been with 2,500 or more women in his past. This time, Sarper wanted a relationship and a girlfriend he could control. Meanwhile, Sarper's controlling behavior towards Shekinah was called out. However, Shekina too had certain rules for Sarper which even affected his sources of income. Sarper did not take any women clients for personal training. Moreover, Sarper had to be the one who moved from Turkey to the US as Shekina had to keep flying back and forth for her daughter and her successful skin care business. Sarper thought Shekina's house was smaller than he expected. To Sarper, Shekina's home was a prison. Coming to the US meant experiencing a huge culture shock for Sarper. He called his experience of heading to the US a nightmare trip from Turkey. Once he landed in America and wished to return to the comfort of Shekina's home, his reaction was to observe that it was a little smaller than he expected. He joked that Shekina's dog Adonis and he were prison inmates. He saw that the tiny space was completely overtaken by Shekina's skincare equipment, and soon enough, Shekina told Sarper about her house rules, which may have made Sarper want to go back to Istanbul. Sarper was left speechless.